So today, the trial of young Philly has begun in Perth, Australia, to be specific, man. So it's day one, and the facts about the alleged R charge have came out. And bruv, after reading through that, it is not looking good, bruv. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see here, ABC, I think it's the Australian Broadcast Channel. They have released an article titled the headline Trial begins for UK YouTuber Young Philly accused of violent, violent sexual assault of young fan in Perth. Yeah, man, this whole story is a madness. So let's just get into it here. So of course they set the tone by obviously letting us know what happened, a little summary. Young Philly violently and repeatedly sexually assaulted a young fan in his hotel room during his tour. And by the way, I did a bit of research about the tour, yeah. Bruv, this was the first night of the tour, you know. You know what I'm saying? My man was meant to perform one, two, three, four, five, four, five, six, three, four, five, six, about six. He had like a week, let's say, of shows patterned, a week of shows lined up Australia, all across the country. And on day one, bro, day one, he's he's already caught an SA charge and a R charge, bro. Wow, wow, charged up, brother, bro. Day one of the tour, you know, fact. But okay, so anyway, the facts are that the victim, who cannot be identified, she had a crush on Philly, um, and obviously they had intercourse, consensual intercourse in his hotel after the performance, but after having consensual intercourse, it actually became non-consensual as my guy was getting a bit physical, and of course, she doesn't consent to the physical element of that. So that can be the case, you know. You can have you can have intercourse with somebody, and there's consent, but if you start doing things whilst things are going on and the girl's not with it, or the other person is not with it, that's when that consent goes, and it can go from consensual sex to unconsensual very quick. So people need to know the lines. You know what I'm saying? Boundaries, bro. Boundaries, man. And the story is set here that pretty much the woman who Philly had assaulted, she saw that Philly was coming to town or coming to Perth, and her cousin and her were planning to go to the show. She had a crush on Philly. As you can see here, the prosecutor said the girl recorded a video saying she loved young Philly and wanted him to be a future husband, and even wore certain clothing, um, so that she can stand out to him. So she actually planned to get with Philly before, you know, he came. Not saying like there's anything wrong with that, but it just shows you the power that um it just shows you the power that celebrities, rappers have. Like, yeah, I'm saying you are doing shows or you're going to places where people know you're going, and there's gal already lining up for you. You know what I mean? So I feel like when the ball is in the rappers or the person's court this much, like where they can just have their pick of girls, it can only it can only be a downward spiral, man. You know. But of course, as you can see here, you know what? When I read this part, this just sounds like typical behavior of somebody patterning a girl in a club, especially if you're a rapper, part of the entourage, or you've just got a table. As you can see here, he was in the club, he had his table, VIP table, he's giving free drinks out to girls. He moved to her and he told her, "You coming home with me?" You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Like, okay, maybe the choice of words "you're coming home with me" might be a bit, but you know, she consented, didn't it? She consented to come back. But as you can see here, maybe things started to take turn for the worst. Philly's guard took her phone, but understandable. He's an artist. He doesn't want her taking snaps and all sorts. You know what I mean? Like, so I can understand that side of things. Um, but then of course it says here that they had consensual intercourse. However, he became more aggressive. I guess he's a bit rough. Clearly, this pretty much summarizes that he's being rough. He became aggressive, biting her neck, right cheek, and breast. And of course, that can be viewed as regular, well, not regular, but normal behavior. But of course, it just depends on what each person is comfortable with, because you can be with somebody, you can be with one person and they don't like all that rough stuff. They don't like the net biting and the, you know what I mean, all that extra stuff. They just wanna, you know what I mean, get to it and be done. But some people like the foreplay, the hand around the neck, the rough stuff. So there's nothing wild as such there as this, as far as I've read here. But of course, you can see here, she told him to stop, but he continued. That at that particular moment there is where it goes from having consensual intercourse to a R charge or SA. That loss of consent, because you're doing the act. She's telling you, yo, don't be doing it. Like, don't be doing this extra, this rough stuff. But my man wants to do it with the rough stuff. So if you want rough sex, bro, and she's not on rough sex, but you keep on good doing it, turns to a R charge, literally. You see, so you see how easily it can turn. This is why man them need to know boundaries, bro. Bro, I don't. I wonder what goes through the head of men that don't know boundaries. Like, don't know boundaries. It's mad. It's raw mad. Because if I'm with a girl, bro, and she's like, stop, stop. I'm like, yeah, calm. I'm stopping. Certain man is like, nah, I ain't stopping. What the? If you know what I mean? I know you can get like, stop. There's stop. And you know what I mean? But it's like she's like, yo, stop. I'm like, oh yo, you know what I'm saying? Mad. So yeah, man, like literally, like, yeah, man. Any sorts of no's, I am not continuing, bro. No chance. But obviously he continued, he wanted his rough, choking her, slapping her. Like I said, some people are into that. Some people are genuinely into being choked and slapped. And he wanted her to say derogatory things. I guess, yeah, man, call him daddy or something. I don't know. They didn't specify it in this article here. She refused and she started to cry. Then he allegedly stuck it in her bum. Crazy. And then after this, she overheard Philly saying to his security guard that she wasn't good enough. It's mad. It's mad. It's mad. And the next day, she took photos of her injuries and reported it to the police. And see, shows like this also help show that the victim is being genuine. Obviously, not to say that um, the longer someone leaves it, um, the less genuine they are. But like, of course, like the fact that it happened and she reported it straight away, you know, she's got fresh recollection of things, able to present evidence of what's happened. It's, you know what I mean? That just helps her case in this scenario. In this scenario, you know, and it just shows that she's a genuine victim here, man. The alleged victim. She's 21 now. Obviously, she just speaks about how Philly was her idol. She saw him at the night. Yeah, vampire looking. He has a mad smile though. He's like, yeah, he smiles mad. And then, yeah, he tried to get a bit frisky. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like like, of course, when you read that, it's mad. But obviously, if you've gone out, if you go on nights out and stuff, and depending on what sort of rapport you built with a girl on a night out, it can get frisky in the club. She can be grabbing up your thing. You can be, you know. So what is being read here isn't wild in the club. It's obviously when they're at the hotel, my man's getting rough and not stopping. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where it's a bit like, whoa, whoa. Um, she says he started throwing her around. He started throwing her around, hitting her, putting his hand around her neck. Um, the the bite, the bite broke her skin. Crazy, and she had to get a tetanus shot, bro. Let's see, tetanus shot. What the hell is a tetanus shot? It's a vaccine protects against the bacterial infection which causes. Okay, I think I've heard of it. That's crazy though. She must think bro's a rabid dog or something, man. Um, but yeah, pretty much. She told the court she covered her face, but he pinned her down before hitting her face. So he overpowered her pretty much. So this is very, very much so past the point of it being consensual, which is insane. Um, her face had injuries. Look at him as well, man. You know, it's sad. It's sad. Um, they present the images. This article, to be honest, is in good detail as well. I like they've been very clear with the facts and things like that. So, um, as you can see here, she tried to bait Philly into a conversation so he could send her what he had done by pretending to message him saying that she's left her keys. He would respond, then she would be like, "Oi, you've done it," you know what I mean? But he didn't respond, so and pretty much that's where the article ends. It just pretty much recaps that he was charged with 6 counts of. But you know what? Hold on, 6 counts, bro. 6 counts of penetration without consent. 3 counts of assault, causing actual bodily harm, and 1 count of impeding her breathing on one person. One person. Sick, bro. That is 10 counts of sexual offences on one person. Boy, Philly, mate, it is not looking good. It's not. It's actually not looking good. It's not looking good. It's 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 not looking good for young Philly, bruv. Like big man thing. Like I'll be interested to. Obviously, it's a trial, prosecution, defense. You know, so obviously they've heard in court today what the victim has gone through. So of course they presented their case, etc. So the trial 2 weeks duration. So I assume well we are going to hear what the defense of Philly is going to say. Um, but yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, ugh, obviously, I'm not gonna say a man's guilty and that because we don't know. And at the end of the day, like I said, what he did wasn't like the actions he was doing wasn't out of the or like he didn't like wasn't tying her up and some bondage, kidnap kind of thing. You know what I mean? He was being rough, choking, slapping, biting, and that is behavior that people do. You know what I mean? That's behavior what people do. I'm just obviously what I'm doing here is viewing things from an impartial perspective. Obviously, I'm not saying that that he didn't go too far. I'm not saying he didn't go too far because this girl isn't comfortable with that kind of foreplay. She's not comfortable with being choked, or with not with him anyway. She's not comfortable being choked, or in this instance, she wasn't comfortable with being choked, being bitten, slapped, or being or calling Philly whatever he wanted her to call him. You know what I mean? She wasn't comfortable with that in that scenario, in that instance. But there is people out here that do that on a regs. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's not a case of what he did was wrong. It was brother. You need to know boundaries, bro. You need to know boundaries. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, whether what he did was right or wrong, it don't matter. The girl didn't consent. The girl didn't consent to his choking out or being bitten on the boobs and that. She didn't consent. So for when she don't consent and you continuing, that is our child. That is rape, bro. So yeah, man, it's not looking good for young Felipe right now. It's not looking good. But obviously, I'll be interested to hear what um his side has to say about things. Honestly, I want to hear how it's going to be spun. I suppose. Yeah, because the defense are gonna have to figure out, come up with a way to explain how this was in fact consensual. Yeah, they're gonna have to explain how it in fact was consensual. There was no such thing as R going on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. But day one, young Philly trial. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. I think this is mad, and it's not looking good, bruv.